Hey, I'm Steve Kitts.
And I'm Hank Hamblin.
Hey, welcome to our episode of actually the first episode of our Arcane Commandos podcast. Welcome aboard.
We thought it'd be a good idea to try and engage with people who are wanting to know more about the story of the Arcane Commandos. So Steve and I decided we would try to do this video podcast to try to do some outreach and try to touch base with you guys out there in the fantasy fiction land and who have a vested interest in this story going forward.
Right, and we want you to get to know us as well as the characters. And I believe that you really will enjoy getting to know the characters and get to know us.
Maybe Steve, you might not like to know me very much, but here we go. This is going to be fun.
It is, and that's what podcasts are: is people engaging. If you got any questions or comments, go ahead and add them to our different social media sites that you can find us on: TikTok, YouTube. We even have a website, arcanecommandos.com. There's many ways that you can reach out to us and talk to us and let us know what you feel. Even on Facebook, we have a Facebook page is Arcane Commandos, and many of you already reach out there.
We recently were at Fanboy Expo in Knoxville, Tennessee, and that was where we really launched the book, so to speak, and released it to the public, so to speak. And we're able to engage with a lot of people. We've got several other conventions coming up, and we'll post those to give you guys an opportunity to try to reach out and touch somebody, so to speak, and maybe come out and meet us and get a signed copy of the book. But we did get a lot of questions while we were at the convention, and we thought we'd try to get ahead of some of those questions, maybe for your benefit, and broach some questions to each other today about the story and the book and each other, so you got a little bit more in-depth perception of who we are and what the story's about.
Right. And about the story, we have a special ops unit that has been tasked to collect and to secure, you should say, holy relics and artifacts that have a lot of different meanings and different purposes. And our group, you'll get to know them, and we're working more on their backstories and more information about them. But this first mission is very important where they go to Mosul, Iraq, and they're trying to find the Ring of Solomon.
So a lot of our story is based off of apocryphal stories of the Bible that are not necessarily found are not found at all in the King James version of the Bible, but are found throughout most of Southwest Asia and those religious and the different religions of those areas, in the Torah, the Talmud, the Holy Quran, and other books, as well as the Old Bible, what they call the Britches Bible, and of course, the Apocrypha. The signet rings are what we focused on in the Bible, and there are, I think, 6 signet rings in the Bible, even in the King James version of the Bible, that were allowed. They had the power of the king, or the whoever the person was that had the signet. And matter of fact, the signet ring is what cost uh, John his head, because of the king's wife had an issue with John. If you're familiar with that story, but the signet rings in this story are have been corrupted, and there is one ring, and I'm not talking about like the Tolkien story of the rings, one ring to rule them all, but there is a very significant ring in the Apocrypha, in the Testament of Solomon, king of Israel, where he was granted a ring by God that gave him the power over demons. So that ring is the primary focus in this book, this first book, where they're trying to recover this ring before, because back in 2014, if you're historically savvy, so to speak, you would know that the ISIS and ISIL were destroying all the artifacts in northern Iraq, especially Mosul, the museum, etc. And so that's where we're at in this timeline. It starts ticking a clock for our team to get in there and recover this artifact before it's destroyed either by ISIS or ISIL. or an opposing force that comes into the theater of operation, so to speak. So our team has got a sense of urgency to try to hurry up and recover this thing, and that's when all hell breaks loose.
Yeah, not only is it our team involved, but there's other teams involved, and there's the angels and demons portion that we touch on because we all know that there still is and has been a battle in the heavens about control, about power, and all that. So that's some of our back line issues and things that's going on that will be addressed throughout our. We're planning on a 12-book series. So getting into this first book, you'll get a touch of it, and we'll feed more into it later on.
We'll probably give a little bit of insight into the story as it's going to progress. You might get a few Easter eggs, so to speak. And I'll go ahead and give you one right now. So as you're reading this book, some things aren't going to be as evident in the first book as it will start to flesh out in later books. But our lead guy, who is Rafe Van Blackwood, this cat here, he's a Freemason. He is a Templar Knight, as well as a special operator in a USASOC, or U.S. Army Special Operations unit. And he has a trifecta bloodline, meaning he has a divine blood. Part of his bloodline is that of divinity. He has a demonic bloodline, and he has a holy, or not a holy, but a human royal bloodline, which gives him some abilities with these artifacts that other people would not have. So Rafe becomes a very prominent figure in this story as it goes forward, and is able to, he's really going to be put in some ethical and moral dilemmas. But there's somebody on the team that's going to take care of him.
So yeah, that we don't want to give too much away, but we want you to know that this book is worth reading and getting into. And it's really a good read, an easy read. You'll find yourself going chapter after chapter, not wanting to put it down. So I really think that's important.
What was your favorite what was your favorite aspect of writing the story? The first.
I think building the characters was the greatest part. It was so fun because each person in the team brings something special to our group.
Right.
And being able to work on those. And I didn't, even though I was in the military, retired 21 years in military plus, he's retired military too. So we have a military side to it, but he has more military experience about what weapons go with what and all the special forces stuff and what helicopters we need and all that. He really has that technical side of it down pat. And I had to incorporate that into my writing, and it was a lot of back and forth there, and I had to learn a lot how to compose it and how to put it together. So that was...
Right, I get it. So when Steve and I were writing this book, we went through 6.5 edits, and I was pretty hard on what these teams would carry, what these individuals would carry as far as weapon systems, what other assets would be out there to support this team in the field. So I was kind of like driving that home because I wanted it to be as realistic and believable as possible. So any of you guys who've been in the military, especially special operations side of the house, this stuff is going to look very and sound very familiar to you, because and for people who have no understanding of that at all, you're going to get a little bit more of a deeper understanding and exposure to what is going on in the field of the special operations unit. As Steve mentioned, he's got 20 years in the military. I've got 26. Between us, I think we've built a really good story that is based on, I would say, factual aspects. And we really try to, this story stays true to historical timelines with our story kind of hand-railing along, like with this first book, what was going on in Mosul, Iraq in 2014. During 2003, during the invasion of Iraq, I was actually in Mosul and experienced a lot in that city. And some of those aspects are brought to light in this story. We did try to incorporate some of that, which blew me away. I was exposed to so much in that town. So I think it's a really good read.
And also, we were adamant. We really wanted to bring our city and our state into the book as well. So we focused on setting our team up in Knoxville, Tennessee. And the place where their headquarters is called the Boneyard. Now, anybody that knows Knoxville and what happens there, you know about how the University of Tennessee has the place where they keep dead bodies.
Right. I don't know how much of this stuff is really public.
Right.
I mean, so we did build the story around these guys are based out of Knoxville, Tennessee, at what we're calling the Boneyard. A lot for those of you who don't know, a lot of special operations teams actually go out and homestead, so to speak, in different locations of the United States and the world. So if you think special operations, you're thinking, well, everybody's at Fort Bragg or everybody's down in Tampa or somewhere like that. But that's just not the case a lot of times. These guys are actually in places where it's easy for them to deploy without alerting, people noticing, so to speak. So it's really easy for this team to go in civilian clothes and pack their stuff and go grab a flight out of a McGee Tyson and launch out to wherever they need to be in the world without getting any sort of recognition or raising eyebrows, so to speak.
Throwing any red flags up.
Yeah, we're not really divulging anything I'm not going to, I won't, and I was careful in the story to make sure that we don't divulge anything that's not at least partially common knowledge. We would never divulge anything that would put anyone that's in this actively serving any sort of harm's way or jeopardy. So I just want to put that out there.
That's good. So I think we're at the point now where we're going ahead and talk about the 3 questions that we wanted to ask each other. And you touched on one of them that I wanted to talk about. It was about the military experience and how it affects the arcane world that we both bring to the table. And we did touch on that. So I'll go ahead and move on to my next question. And now, I'm going to say that I really don't believe in luck. So looking back now, how did our meeting at the firehouse change your year and maybe change where we're both heading?
So I've always had an affinity or an interest in esoteric or occult, I'll say operations, but organizations like secret societies, etc. And I've always had, I've known these guys in the military during the course of my career that have done different things. And this one cat he was into magic, and he'd always put these glyphs up at a gate or what do you call them? It's a glyph, but it's a warden or a ward rather, right? To ward off evil kind of thing, to protect, in his mind, he's protecting people. Which I always thought hey, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
But I brought that aspect into this whole thing. But when we ran into each other at the firehouse, we're talking about the substation, like where you get a sub sandwich, not a real firehouse. I'd always had in the back of my mind this story about a guy who is a military guy or a special operator who had this magical aspect on the side, who was trying to do some good and trying to protect his team and trying to affect the mission through his his other means, so to speak. So I'd always had that the back of my head. So when you approached me like, hey, yes, you've got a good story, you got a story, or I was like, hey, actually, I do have a good story. So that's where this all came to light at. So trying to flesh a lot of that stuff that I always wanted to tell in the story. I always wanted to write a book, and Steve has written many books. So it just seemed like the natural, just the natural blend of a guy who knew what he was doing, had some experiential learning already down, where it would have been a huge learning curve for me trying to figure out how to write a book. But trying to, flesh the story out, and Steve helping me bring the story to paper. It was just I mean, I'm not a big guy on luck either. I believe in setting conditions, but that just really worked out.
I think it worked out well for both of us because even though I continue to write different stories, this one sort of took the front and the dominated a lot of my time and effort to create.
Dominated. I like that.
It did because I wanted to do it so right and have
Right.
it so well put together, and not only to have something on paper, but have it down correctly and have the flow and the feel just right. Build the characters where you fall in love with them, just like I fall in love with them. I love our characters, and I know they can really do a lot of good. And their heart's in the right place, even though they might do something wrong here or there. Overall, they're good.
Hey, they're great people. You know, we did build some vices and some faults into these guys because they're human, and especially the third story, probably I would say that it'll really get fleshed out, especially with Rafe. Man, he's a human guy that's he's been through a lot in his life, so he's got some things have manifested
Right.
in his character. But you know, he's a great guy, but he's just you may initially think like this cat is off the chain, man, but it's gonna work out great for everybody. That's all I'm going to tell you as far as that goes. What's your favorite character?
You know, I think Theo is my favorite.
Really?
He's a smart aleck. I really can.
So are you relate? Are you saying you relate to that guy?
I do.
Okay.
He finds something funny in everything, even a hard situation. He's looking at what can I do to ease the tension? What can I add a little comment here or there that can ease that situation just momentarily, let you have a breathing room. So I really dig that out of his character.
Yeah. I think probably because I know more about what's going to develop in the storyline. Right now, my favorite character is Nyx, and not just because she's super hot, but yeah, Nyx right there. But because of her mentality, she and the team, as far as the architecture of the team, she is a CIA operative out of the CIA has their own special operations units, and a lot of joint operations are the CIA is actually involved in. And believe it or not, there are females in the special operations community. A lot of people don't realize that. But Nyx in this story is a CIA agent, and she's a doctor, PhD, and some things that really matter to this team. And she's going to really, as the story fleshes out, you'll see why I really like Nyx.
She'll play a bigger role than she does even in the first book.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. It's going to be, she's going to be, what's the word I'm even looking for, centric to the story, because I don't want to let too much out of the bag, man, but she's going to be a great, dudes are going to love her. Chicks are going to be like, are going to want to be like her, and dudes are going to want to be with her.
Yeah, that's
what's that old cologne commercial? Be the man that you want to be, that men want to be like, and women want to be with. Where it is, yeah, the vice versa.
Right. Yeah, definitely. And there's more characters in the book, and we do have a good team. So, I encourage you to find the book on Amazon or find it on our website or find us at a convention. We'll autograph it for you and set it up. Even mail you out one if you buy one through our website. So it's pretty easy to do. A good little.
Yeah, we've been doing a lot of sales on, seems like on Amazon. We did a lot over at Fanboy Expo.
Right.
So the book is doing really well. The story is starting to get out there for public consumption, so to speak. And that's one of the real big reasons we wanted to do this podcast. And we'll try to do one of these a month as far as what the intent is right now is one a month. We may, if it gets busy, super busy, we may have to do more. But again, we're just trying to do some outreach with our audience and with our potential audience, kind of give you some insight to what the story's about and let you kind of relate to us. We're just two dudes trying to tell a great story that's going to entertain people. And something about the book, we talked about this. I do a lot of traveling, and when you look at the book, it's double spaced, and that was intentional. We had a question that came up during Fanboy Expo about someone. He was critiquing the book, and that's good. We want critiques. But he was critiquing some aspects about the book. But one of his things that he stated was you could save money and space in the book, etc., by single spacing. And I immediately took the blame for that because I travel a lot. It's easier for me, especially on a plane or in a car or whatever, if something is double spaced. It's easier to keep up with. The font's a little bit bigger than normal. What you find, I think, was it a 10 normally or 9 on a normal book?
Right.
Or what font are we? Do you know?
We're at 14.
Yeah, it's a little bit bigger. It's easier to read if you're traveling. So it's a great travel book for those of you who are out there traveling a lot.
And I've got a lot of older people that comment, oh, I was dreading looking into this because of the small print, but I love your size of print. It really helps me read the book. And that helps you too. It flows, believe it or not, a lot easier when you can go from line to line to line instead of paragraph to paragraph. And I know that sounds a little bit weird, but once you give it a try, you'll like this format a lot better than some of your others.
We really try to take the reader and the experience of reading into consideration because, I mean, for me, someone like me, I'm normally I hate the act of reading, but I love to read. So kind of spacing it out a little bit and putting a little bit bigger font to it makes it so much more enjoyable for someone like me. And I'm sure many of you in the audience or people who might be watching this video that I'm sure that it'll be greatly appreciated because I know I appreciate it. It makes me want to read the book. What's your last question, Steve?
The last question, okay, if Hollywood called tomorrow and they want Arcane Commandos, what decision were yours? If the decision was yours, I should say, what would you want it to become? A movie, live action TV series, an animated series, anime, or something else?
Yes. All of it.
Above.
All of it. But if I had to pick only one, I'm a creature of habit, and I enjoy television shows like Supernatural, shows like Sleepy Hollow, that kind of something I can look forward to every week instead of sitting down for an hour and a half or 2 hours and watching a movie and it's over with. Someone like me, I need something to keep me going through like the fall months or the spring months. So I enjoy, like right now, the new Game of Thrones season's at season 3. I'm enjoying that. And Rings of Power, their next season is about to start up. Ahsoka is about to start their that second season in I think January or February. So I like stuff like gives me something to look forward to, and it gives me something while in season, gives me something to enjoy weekly. And I sit down with whoever I want to sit down with and enjoy it with. It gives me something to do. So instead of just getting a 2-hour movie out of it or whatever, I'm getting probably about 13 or 14 hours out of a season or a seasonal show that stimulates my mind and makes me happy, gives me a reason to sit down and recline and kick it back freestyle for a minute.
Right. And I like the aspect of a TV show because you can pull it up at any time you have time to watch it. Instead of, movie theaters, you got to schedule a time to go to the theater, see it, and all that. But if you, like me and my wife will sit down and we'll pull up the series that we're watching, watch as much of it as we can, pause it, come back to it. So that helps me on TV shows. So that's my pick as well, if I could do that.
I mean, hopefully, in all honesty, hopefully it eventually turns into something like that because as this story progresses, I think that the story will gain enough of hopefully gain enough of a following that people will want a TV show, and that we can push this thing over into that venue, so to speak, so that people can get a different experience with these characters and just fall in love with them all over again. I mean, that happens with a lot of books. Look at what happened with J.K. Rowling. Look what happened with Tolkien. Of course, Tolkien didn't live long enough to enjoy all of the fruit of his labor, but his children did.
Harry Potter.
Yeah, with J.K. Rowling for sure. There's a lot. I mean, what's that guy's name that wrote Game of Thrones? He just wrote it as a book, and all of a sudden, and he actually put several novels out, and one of his other novels is getting some traction now. The Night of the Seven Kingdoms,
Right.
Great show. But those books were written years ago, and now it was just a novella. It was just a small little story that's grown and expanded into this story and the show. I would love to see that happen.
And ours definitely has that potential because of how deep it is.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not just this one book, but there's so much more that we've talked about that we can't tell you about that is in the background, that is actively going on, even in our minds, that is going to be involved in some of the newer books that we're going to put out. But it's so deep and has so much potential. And that's what it should be.
We start writing the next book. We've agreed to start in October to start on the next novel. And I think we should be able to finish that thing up around January, February timeline based off of what we just went through. And I'm excited. We've already got a lot of great ideas to build into this story, the second novel. And I think it's going to be an incredible, outrageous, amazing ride. Because it's just knowing, kind of laying the groundwork with this first book, you kind of get an idea how this team is going to operate together and function together. Actually, but they have I don't want to give too much of this first book away, but they have a serious challenge to overcome getting over into the second storyline. They're going to have to figure out pretty quick because it's getting ready to get out of control. Boys and girls, I'm here to tell you. But anything else you want to mention before we close this thing out? This has been good.
It has. And I think that not only does our fans need it, but we needed this.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And I hope everybody has gathered from this our excitement about the book, and we hope that you share that excitement because it is such a great storyline, and it's not finished yet.
You know, I mentioned a few series shows earlier: Game of Thrones, Supernatural, Sleepy Hollow. For children of the '80s, which we are, two of those children, okay? There was a cartoon show. There's actually two cartoon shows out that now have made their way into movies and sequential movies as well. G.I. Joe and Transformers, where you loved, even though you almost like, even with, there's a new movie out, He-Man, where even back in the day when He-Man was a cartoon, even though they were the bad guys, you love to see what the bad guys were up to. And that's how this thing is really going to play out. When these other teams really start to flesh out, these opposing forces teams, the bad guys, so to speak, you're going to fall, I think, I don't want to say you're going to fall in love with them, but you're going to get a vested interest in, like, what are these cats up to?
Yeah.
Just like Cobra and G.I. Joe, just like the Decepticons and Transformers, and just like Skeletor and his crew. Because I was a big fan of Evil Lynn back when I was a kid, man. That chick was hot, boys and girls. I'm just saying.
It still is.
Hey, I'm just saying. But you know what I'm saying as far as like what's your take on that?
Yeah, I agree. Well, we do know there's a yin and yang, good and bad and everything. But our characters, our evil team or a bad team, when you get to looking at them and getting in their head, they feel like they're in the right. And that's what I think makes them so powerful, that they feel like they're doing what's good, that they're the good team, and they're facing the evil team or the bad team. So we get to play on that a little bit and look at that aspect of it too, because not everybody that is out there thinks they're evil, even though they are.
Yeah, and that was a big thing in going into the story. I remember us talking about that specific aspect, because when you get characters like Thanos or Emperor Palpatine or a lot of these other just really bad people in these storylines, they all thought that they were in the right. They thought that they were doing the right thing in their mind. And they're just encapsulated in their own echo chamber, but to the rest of the world, with a sense of morality and practice good, ethics, so to speak. It is straight up evil, but it's when you get in these people's heads, we're going to try to flesh this out, how what their mindset is, because if you really think you're doing the right thing, but it's causing harm to other people, I guess that's when you get into the evil aspect. But when your motivation is completely different than another person or team, in this case, their motivation, especially when you get into a lot of the sub story, boys and girls, it's about to get bad. I'll say this. Oh gosh, I don't know if I want to say it or not, man. You heard it here first. There is a puppet master, so to speak, and a traitor behind the scenes that are really, it's going to break your heart. It's really going to just hurt you. But then it's just going to be more exciting for the story. But man, it's going to be rough. But what I'm saying, as far as like these evil characters and these other genres and these other stories, Star Wars, it doesn't matter. I mean, look what happened to Anakin Skywalker into turning into Darth Vader, into returning as a Jedi, that last act of goodness that he did for his son. I mean, you get that kind of deep storyline and that pain that guy was suffering. When you get into the mindset, that's what I'm trying to talk about, is the mindset of someone who's doing evil. The reason that Anakin Skywalker fell was because of love for Padme. That's right. I mean, I'm a big sci-fi nerd. Sorry, guys, but this is the way it is.
You're right.
But that's what I'm trying to convey, as far as like the motivation why you would do something evil when you really don't even realize you're so encapsulated into the motivation and the ideal and what you can do in your mind, that you would do something so terrible and evil that causes death and harm to other people that you don't even see it. There's my lecture for the day.
That's a rough one to end on.
Yeah, it is.
But
it's good for the story.
It is good for the story, and I think that our audience will appreciate it because we're going to deliver it to you properly. We're not going to rush it, and we're not going to just throw it in there and let you deal with it. We're going to work it along where it fits. So be ready for it, but it's coming.
I would end on this. I would say as well as the storyline, how it's going to progress and get better and deeper and more refined. You're going to see us as story writers become more. We learned a lot. We got a lot of lessons learned off of this first joint effort. I know I did. And we're going to implement those lessons learned in going forward. So it's the story, the book, the writing, etc. It's just going to get better and better and better. So go through this journey with us. I think you'll enjoy it.
And make no doubt that we're putting in the time and the effort to put the best product forward. We back and forth off each other a lot, take many notes, and you should see the whiteboards. It's packed and loaded. Take pictures and reload it. So
we meet weekly. Every Wednesday, we have a dedicated meeting just for this story and for this project. That's how much. That's not even counting the time outside of Wednesdays that we spend with discussing the project and the story and going forward, what's going on with events, etc. We've really invested a lot of time and energy into this, and it's for your benefit. We really hope you're enjoying the story.
I think that's a wrap.
Yeah. Glad you got to look at us. Thanks. We'll see you soon.
I've been Steve Kitts.
Hank Hamblin.
And we've been representing Arcane Commandos. Find us on YouTube. Find us on Facebook. And look us up for our TikToks. And also our website is arcanecommandos.com.
Take care.
Join the Arcane Commandos team now.